Welcome, everyone. Welcome, and thank you so much for being with us on this journey. Today is going to be about self-love. And what better way to learn about it than from two coaches who fully lived it and managed to overcome any obstacle in their way. We have today with us two souls, Hunter LaGrassa, a backseat driver of his own life, and Greg McBrayer, experiencing hardships and even attempting suicide. Fell in love with themselves to eradicate their perceived inabilities and help people in a meaningful way. Together, they help aspiring coaches release the imposter syndrome by falling deeply in love with themselves so they can, without a doubt, know they are genuinely helping their clients. Welcome, Hunter. Welcome, Greg. Thank you so much for being with me on this journey. I am grateful and I am honored to have you. I am looking forward hearing more and learning more about self-love.
Thank you so much for having us. Oh my goodness, I feel good about that. That was awesome.
I got chills.
Me too.
I hear this a lot because when we hear from someone else our own story, it's actually impacting us more than when we say it ourselves. So this is awesome. I would like to start our interview today, Hunter, by asking you what is your story and how did you start on this path of helping other coaches fall in love with themselves?
All right, I'm going to start it from this moment. 2 years ago. I was in Budapest and I was at the peak of my social anxiety. I was surrounded by people, but felt more disconnected than I've ever felt in my entire life. And all I wanted to do was to talk to them, to learn from their perspectives. But no matter how hard I tried to force it out of me, like I literally couldn't. Like I was like screaming from within inside of myself, but it felt like my mouth was zipped shut. And so I found this group of people on this app called Meetup. And the point of it was everybody there had a fear of speaking to people in public. And when I looked around at everybody, the thing that I thought I alone struggled with, everyone else in that room felt that same exact feeling. And it was that exact moment that I'm like, people experience this no matter what you've gone through in life. This is a feeling, anxieties, feelings that you might be your own worst enemy. Sometimes we talk to ourselves very harshly. And I know I did too. So I wanted to share this message with people. And I made this little thing, this little game about trying to connect with strangers. And I just casually posted it on Facebook. And then someone reached out to me from that community in Budapest. And they're like, this is amazing. You have to like make this a thing. And I'm like, okay, like just like when you read my story, like how I felt that, even though like I didn't like say it myself, I was like, whoa. So I made a workshop online, and within moments of connecting with those complete strangers, we were deeply talking about the things we had never discussed in our entire lives. And so I was like, all right, I got to make this a thing. So I was like, I got to teach people about this. I got to like connect with them about this. And so I reached out to this person right here, Greg McBrayer, and I was like, all right, how do I start a coaching community? You started one. How do I do this? And I was asking all these technical questions. And so I think I'm going to leave it off to Greg now.
Greg, is up to you.
Okay.
What is your story?
So I'm gonna do a really condensed version of my story to where Hunter just left off. So my background is it's sprinkled with a lot of hard things. You know, when I was a kid, I was the only dark person, like the dark complected person in my family. I was told that I was a product of a rape, that my mother was raped, and that's how I was conceived. And that was what I believed all the way up until I was 25. And when I found out that it wasn't actually rape, it was actually my family didn't want anybody to know that there was a black person, you know, that was in the mix. So it was racism. So just growing up feeling really disconnected to myself, feeling like, I mean, pardon my French, but feeling a piece of shit. You know, my entire life, all the way up till about 25 years old. That's when I came to a point where I attempted suicide. Luckily, somebody kicked in my door and took the firearm away from me, so I wasn't able to do that. So, thank you. But after that is when I realized that something special about my life. There's something that I need to do, because I was ready. I was ready to take my own life. So from that point started a whole journey, a process of really falling in love with me, really learning that, hey, I'm amazing and you're amazing. And because we're taking breaths, that's all we need to be amazing, you know? I started coaching, started helping people with where I was at. And as I became more and more in love with myself, I helped other people become more and more in love with themselves and learn that you don't need anything special. You don't need any tools. You don't need anything other than you speaking better to you. That's the first step. Then I get a message. I get a message after being a coach for a few years. I get a message from my man Hunter, and it was in text. And his first question was, the technicalities of how to start a coaching business. It was very technical question, and my response was through a video or audio message, and I asked him, well, what's the reason you want to coach in the first place? What does coaching mean to you? All the stuff will come, but what does it mean to you? And I remember his response being just like, my mind is blown. Of course, that's where I need to start. Not with how to put it all together, but what do I feel about it? How does it feel to me? The love that I feel for myself, that I feel for others, that's all I need to put into this. And from that point on, we've come together and just created this beautiful system of self-love. So it's a superpower.
That's amazing.
I'll steal the spotlight for like a minute to finish that. Is that I reached out to Greg looking outside of myself for how to start a coaching business, looking for all these guides and technicalities on the strategies and systems to make it. But the real reason that I wasn't doing it is because I wasn't asking myself the reason that I wanted to help people in the first place. My entire life, and what kind of caused the social anxiety, was I felt wrong. I felt like who I was like wrong, that I had to change myself. And so I didn't trust myself for being like, what I believe in is what I should make the business or the coaching about. I looked outside of myself and asked people for what I should do, when the deepest part of the reason that people help people, the greatest thing that makes you a coach, is the same reason that you are incredible now. Because it's not about what other people tell you. You're incredible because you just are.
Thank you so much, Hunter. This is really incredible. And I am touched by your story and how you came together. I think that you are also fortunate to have found each other. I don't believe in coincidences. I think that everything happens for a reason. And the fact that you found each other, definitely there is a higher purpose out there in the universe that we are not aware of. And I am thankful that you are both here in this interview. I would like to ask you, Hunter, to continue on this path, on this thinking. Why did you start actually? Why did you start on this coaching business? What was the answer that you found after Greg asked you, why do you want to do this?
The ironic thing is what the connection Greg and I had is what I found. It wasn't like the things that I explored or learned from Greg and then applied to my life, or like Greg taught me a couple things and I looked out in the world. Is like, no. The connection that Greg and I had, we called like soulmate clients. We've never experienced a deeper bond where he wasn't like this person on a pedestal telling me what I should do. We were like sitting next to each other on a metaphorical couch, talking to each other like best friends and helping each other learn about the greatest parts of ourselves. No one was better than anyone else. And that feeling, that connection between people is the underlying reason that I coach. So that everyone else who wants to start a coaching business can have as deep a connection as I do with Greg. Because that, to me, that moment when you get to connect with someone, that is the reason I coach.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Hunter. I will move to Greg right now by asking you, how can coaches apply what you have applied for yourself to fall in love with themselves and to avoid the imposter syndrome? Because this is something that you are also coaching them. How can they do that? Is there one technique they could apply?
So, one thing that anybody can do is anybody that's wanting to coach and help people now is become aware of how they think about themselves. Become aware of the personal vision that they have of their own character, their own personality. What kind of person do they think they are? You know, what we build in our mind as our imaginative version of ourselves, if you will, that every single time becomes what we project outwards, what we feel we can do. It's what creates our limiting factors, or what obliterates the limitations altogether. What we see ourselves as right now is who we are. So I would say that the very first step, something that you can do right now, is get familiar with how you feel about yourself, how you see yourself. And if it's something that doesn't align with what you really want for your life, for your coaching business, for how you want to connect with people, then that's something that you can change. That's something that you can turn the dial. And that's how what we help people do step by step, because it's a process. Not something where that you can just turn a switch and overnight and like, oh wow, that was a really cool process. But it's a process. It takes steps, just like learning how to walk or learning how to talk or reading and writing. And that's the beautiful part about the process that Hunter and I have developed, is it's just walking together with people. That's all it is. It's walking with people. Really cool.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you so much. I know that we sometimes have all of these fears or blockages or limiting beliefs, whether we are coaches in a career or just in a job, simple job. I know that we are all going through these struggles, and that we sometimes don't believe in ourselves. We don't think that we can become something better. And I know that this is a big theme, a big topic that many people are talking about and that many people are trying to solve. So I would like to ask you, Hunter, what do you think is one of the biggest blockages that coaches have in order to gain confidence and trust that they can actually influence people? I know this is something that you are working with, but what is this thing that is actually blocking them?
The reason that people keep their fears, the reason that people don't disconnect all their self-limiting beliefs, is because they treat these things like they're these like monsters living inside of them. But the greatest thing they could ever do is actually become friends with all of these things we have set as negative. Our fears, our limiting beliefs, even the bad behaviors aren't purely bad things. They're things we get to grow from. In fact, without them, we wouldn't be able to grow at all. The most beautiful thing any person can do that wants to learn and go further into the person they want to become is hug these things, get to know them. Like, I used to have anxiety, and when a catastrophic thought came up, like if I talk to this person, I will say something that will ruin their entire lives. And then I was like, God, I wish I could just get rid of these thoughts. But now when it comes up, I'm like, that's a fascinating thought. Like, that would never happen. Like, that's amazing that I thought of that. Anyway, I don't feel like feeling that right now, so we're gonna move on and feel how I actually want to feel. But I took it from a completely different approach. I'm like best friends with my anxiety monster. And when it comes up, I like fist bump it. Like, I respect what you're trying to do. I respect that you're trying to look out for me, but that's not how I want to feel right now. But if I treated it like an enemy, well, I might not get over it because I just want it to go away.
I love that. I love that, Hunter. And I feel so inspired right now and so like motivated, like really, I love your subject, and I love the way you approach things and the way you think about it, because this is actually that everyone needs. I know that you are focused on coaches, but I believe that everyone out there needs to hear this and needs to go through this process. Thank you so much to both of you once again. I would like to ask you next, Greg, what do you think that people could start doing every single day to become happier? What do you think that they can apply as a daily ritual? I know that you mentioned that there is not one thing, but maybe we can start right away doing something small in order to become happier with who we are and the way we feel like.
Oh, I love that question. I love that question. So, and I have a beautiful answer for it. An answer to help people get out of their comfort zone as well. So before you do anything in the morning, when you wake up, before you get out of bed, before you move, this is actually something that I took a page out of Hunter's playbook. So before you move, before you do anything, in your mind, go ahead and kind of like in a game, select the person that you want to be. Select the version of you that you want to be, and then go ahead and like sprinkle some love on that person, sprinkle some courage, sprinkle some perseverance, all the attributes that you want to just emanate that day, and feel that. Don't move until you start feeling all of these things that you're adding to yourself and your imagination. And once you wake up, it becomes easier for you to stay in that default, stay right in that awesome place where you're actually liking yourself. You're actually liking what you're feeling in here. So that's a great way for anybody that's listening to start becoming more happy and start falling in love with themselves.
I love that. So this is like a sort of vision and seeing who we want to be. Thank you so much, Greg. I would like to ask you, Hunter, because you are both on the same topic. How can we do this actually throughout the day? Because I know that maybe in the morning we are feeling energized and motivated, and yes, I am going to conquer the day, but then the day goes on and we are having obstacles and struggles. How do we go back to that feeling?
One of the most difficult things about anything we talk about is sometimes these like concepts are hard to grasp for people. But understanding like how you're feeling in a moment, we're not used to doing that. Like most of our thoughts, you know, they happen and we don't even notice them. We do a lot of things and we aren't even aware we did them. And so sometimes what it takes is like putting things in your environment to make sure you have time to reflect and think about these things. Sometimes I set a bunch of alarms throughout the day. I set one time every single day where I just reflect on the same exact thing I did that morning, where I go back into that loving place of the person that I am allowing myself to be. Because it's not easy to just flip that switch and be like, I'm going to start thinking about how I feel. But the more times you put throughout the day, the more things in your environment, maybe an object that you associate with, the more that when it comes up, when you see that thing, when the alarm comes up, when you're with this person, when you're in your workplace, when you're sitting at your desk, the more things that are surrounded with the intention that you want to become, the more you'll do it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Hunter. I'm going to do it as well. I have around myself a few things to remind myself why I'm doing this and why I'm on this journey, but definitely there is never too much. Thank you so much, Hunter, for these explanations and this valuable information. I would like actually to ask both of you. I know that there are many coaching businesses which are failing today, 82% according to statistics. Do you think that if coaches would fall in love with themselves, they could actually succeed in their business?
You got this, Greg?
Oh, yeah. I'll take this. Absolutely. So 100%. And like you said before, going beyond just coaches, anybody falling in love with themselves, that's the answer to all issues. But specifically for coaching businesses, The reason why falling in love with yourself first is the foundation of success is because when you fall in love with yourself, you're operating out of the best of yourself, operating out of law of attraction. So now everything that you're focusing on, all the energy that you're putting into what you're doing is positive energy. It's love energy. It's energy that's creating more of what you want, right? So then people are attracted to you. You're not having to spend so much money on ad campaigns and all that good stuff. With Hunter, he just found me. He found me through several different other people, and hey, well, that guy seems cool. I vibe with him. There you go, and that's the beauty of falling in love with yourself. It creates this atmosphere, this aura, this vibe, whatever you want to call it, that attracts the very best of life to you, because the very best of life is now like living within you. You are being that. Go ahead, Hunter.
I could say that a lot of businesses are not aligned with the thing that people find so fulfilling. Sometimes they chose a path because the people around them pressured them to do it, or they thought like, this seems cool. And that happens for schooling too, not just businesses. When people take certain majors and certain career paths, people kind of do things without asking themselves the questions like, what is really meaningful to me? But without a great degree of self-love, when you go to ask yourself what is meaningful, you might take it from the approach of like an asshole. You might ask yourself questions like, well, it doesn't matter what's meaningful to me. I mean, I'm not good enough to do that anyway, or only famous people are allowed to do that. I wasn't meant to do this. You will discount so many possible things that are really fulfilling to you because you didn't approach it with a great degree of self-love. But when you do, you will ask yourself the most beautiful, important questions with the most open mind, and then you will do exactly that. Every time something comes up that stops you from taking that path that you find so fulfilling, you'll talk to yourself like a best friend. It's like, hey, let's talk about this. Like, I can see there's a lot of tension around this subject. Let's get it out right now.
I love that. Become your best friend, right? I like that so much. And I know that this has also been my experience. I used to be an auditor. Believe it or not, I took a whole different career in the finance sector, which was not at all aligned with who I was and what I wanted. So instead of being on the positive and being happy the way I used to be, people were asking me to be more like risk-based approach, like seeing the negative things. And I'm like, no, I don't want to see the negative things. So this definitely, sometimes we take a path, but maybe there is something that we need to learn out of it. Thank you so much to both of you. I would like to close our interview by asking you, what are the programs you are working on and how can people contact you?
So I'm gonna actually hand this to Hunter. Go ahead, Hunter.
we just started this new community on Facebook. And it might be a little bit of a mouthful, but it is exactly the way in which we're helping people. We're helping new coaches align with themselves so they can consistently connect with their soulmate clients. And that soulmate clients is one of the most beautiful things, because the exact connection that Greg and I have, the way we discovered each other and the way we treat ourselves, is exactly the way in which you create a successful coaching business, because you're truly being yourself. You're not relying on what other people tell you. You don't have to second guess whether something's important to you. And the connections you have with people are like family. It is incredible. It's not like, hey, I helped you with your goal. That's cool. Pay me. It's like, no, like you will remember those people for the rest of your lives.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Hunter. Greg, do you want to add something?
Yes. So the course that we have kind of manifested together through unconditionally loving ourselves and staying aligned with what is truly meaningful to us is an absolutely breathtaking course, because it has nothing to do with us as individuals and everything to do with a new lifestyle, a of living that creates the abundance that we all truly want. So for coaches, we felt it's the best to help inspire coaches to do this. how much better of a world can we live in when we have coaches out there that are truly aligned with themselves, that are teaching other people how to truly align with themselves. And that's how we create a community of collective consciousness and really like change some things that are messed up in the world. So we're doing our part, you know, just like you are. It's beautiful. Let's make a new world together.
Absolutely. This is really the mission. Yes, Hunter?
I'd say, so January 10th, we're holding a free course where we're showing exactly what we do, and it's going to be held live on Facebook on our community. So the best way is either to search that up, Coaches Aligning with Self, on Facebook to find our group, or you can look up either one of us on Facebook, and we will get you there.
Awesome. Thank you so much to both of you. And for those of you listening to us, don't hesitate to contact them and fall in love with who you are, whether it's something negative that you think about yourself, as Hunter mentioned, or whether it's something positive. They are there to support you every step in the way. Thank you so much for being with me, Greg and Hunter. I am honored and I am touched by your story and the way you are approaching the world.
Thank you so much for having us. Oh my gosh, like I'm vibrating right now.
There is so much energy, right? Although we are in different parts of the world, there is something magical happening. Thank you so much to both of you. And let's inspire the world. Stay connected because there is so much more to come.